good debt versus bad debt. I'm Jill Horner. This is Comcast Newsmakers. With me is Joan Redding. She is president of Credit Counseling Center. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
We often hear that it's okay to take on good debt like a mortgage, or good debt to go to college, for example, and take on a student loan. But is that a misnomer? Is that a myth that there's such a thing as good debt?
That is a really good question. I think in years past, 30, 25 years ago, certainly for the mortgage, as you felt more secure that your mortgage value was going to grow, the value of your house was going to grow. I'm not sure you're getting that growth anymore. You're getting growth, but not the extent that we used to get. So you still have to live somewhere, but you really have to examine that real cost and obviously the interest rate on that mortgage. And they're still very low, there's still some serious value in getting a house or a mortgage. The student loan debt is another pickle, because the ability to get a job, you're still going to need a college degree, but how do you pay back $30,000, $60,000, $80,000? If you have $80,000 worth of student loan debt, that's an $800 payment. It's like having a second mortgage. So you have to really weigh that benefit to getting that job. Will it get you that job versus what they're going to pay you for that job? Can you actually pay off your student loan debt? I tease some clients to think about, especially with their young kids in high school, you may be staying at home for a while. So if you love your children, good, because they're going to stay home till they're 30.
So this is a question that we should be asking before a student, a child, even makes a decision about going to college or where he or she would be going to college. Can they afford the debt after graduation, or even if they don't graduate, they would still be taking on the debt?
Correct, and it's an interesting point that you said where they're going to go. You need to have a conversation with them what a family can afford and or not. I know when I was in college, my parents said, this is the amount of money I have, figure it out. So I had to make some decisions about what I got. A lot of parents I hear, well, I really want them to go to this school or that school. I'm like, we need to think about the cost of that. And if you're going to co-sign a student loan, you've really got to examine whether or not that makes sense in the long term. So that goes back to the good credit, bad credit, or good debt, bad debt. It's a real challenge to understand you don't want to have a life with all this colossal debt over your head. It costs a lot of money and interest.
In addition to that, let's talk about other types of debt. For example, car debt. If we purchase a car, it can depreciate, or it does depreciate in value. Is that the type of debt that we should take on? We do need transportation.
There's an interesting thing about the whole concept of credit. We forgot that we could save money. You can still pay cash. So I understand college tuition is very high, and so is a mortgage. You could pay cash. The last 2 cars I bought were in cash because I don't want to pay interest. So I'm trying my best to not have any debt payments out there. So my point is to be conscious, and can we postpone that purchase, save money, and pay for it? A car is a really interesting example because it's losing value every time you drive it around. What a bummer. Your mortgage hopefully will grow, or your house value will grow, but you've really got to think about the cost-benefit ratio. Is it worth the interest rate?
And just a few seconds left, but you say, as an example, $8,000 in debt at 18% interest will take 25 years to pay back and cost $24,000 in fees. So think about any of those purchases before you make them.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for being with us, Joan.
Thank you.
We've been talking with Joan Redding. She's president of Credit Counseling Center. I'm Jill Horner.